Hey there friends, and welcome back to another video. Today, the new Suicide Squad episode has finally released. And today we're going to be going over everything that has been added to the game in this update. Real quick, before we do get started, there's a few things I need to say and go over. First off, if you're wondering how this video came out so fast, that is thanks to WB, who is kind enough to provide early access to the update for me. All of the footage in this video was recorded on an early version of the update on PC. As such, what you're seeing isn't the final build you'll be playing or seeing later today from me or other people. If you enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe, etc. And anyways, let's go ahead and get started. First things first, let's talk about the new enemies. First is the Green Lantern infused enemies. There's a few different ones. The Green Lantern infused enemies can summon Green Lantern constructs, just like the Green Lantern boss. They're also immune to all direct damage until their constructs have been destroyed completely, so you will need to destroy their constructs before trying to attack them. However, the way this works is very similar to the Green Lantern shield modifier. That same shield is on these enemies as well when there's a construct, but once you destroy the constructs, the shields will disappear. But like the modifier, you can bypass needing to destroy the constructs by using poison, shield harvesting, or countering. Then there is the Promotonauts, a new form of the Terminauts. These enemies are immune to all damage once they lock on to an enemy to upgrade them. To be able to kill them, you'll need to first follow the target beam to the enemy and defeat them before it upgrades them. And only then can you kill the Promotonaut. Next, let's talk about the cosmetics. First off, so far we have 4 new outfits, with episode 2 being the Titan infected outfits. Joker's is obviously directly based off of his Titan design from Arkham Asylum, while the other 3 characters that got skins, Harley, King Shark, and Captain Boomerang, are much closer to the henchmen Titans seen in both Arkham Asylum and Arkham City. Specifically, Captain Boomerang looks almost exactly like one of the henchmen Titans from those games. Personally, I really like the Joker one, and I do like the King Shark one as well. I'm not super into Harley's and Captain Boomerang's. There's also 4 new banner packs that were added. First off is the Gang Tryouts pack, then we have the War-Torn Metropolis pack, the Frenzied Squad pack, and the Frenzied League pack, which also includes a Wonder Woman one. You just can't really see it. It's right behind the Green Lantern one. We also got 5 new emotes for the Joker, including Smile, which is a rival taunt, Throwing It Out There, which is a new win pose, Wheelie Good, which is a anti-hero pose for Joker, Pushing It Up, which is a new lose pose for Joker, and Flambéed, which is a new emote for Joker, featuring a little Batman doll. One great change with this update is the ability to view the number of collectibles you have for each part of the game, and this is retroactive for episode 0 and 1 as well as episode 2. Speaking of, here is all of the new collectibles. There are 16 new audio logs, 2 new Argus tapes, 5 new baddies, 26 new concept arts, 2 new scan riddles, 3 new AR challenges, and 14 new Riddler trophies. There's also 11 new squad skills. First is plus 1% damage to Green Lantern and Green Lantern infused enemies. Second is plus 1% damage reduction from Green Lantern and Green Lantern infused enemies. The third is plus 0.5% shotgun ammo, then plus 0.5 pistol ammo, plus 0.5 assault rifle ammo, plus 0.5 grenade ammo pickup, plus 0.5 grenade ammo drop chance, plus 0.5 traversal attack resource generation, and plus 0.5 burning resistance. Then plus 0.5 damage to burning enemies, plus 0.5 traversal attack damage, then 0.5% grenade damage. We've also added 3 new invasion difficulties, invasion level 6, 7, and 8, which also includes a new banner for each. In the episode Duality, another thing added added is Duality rank. You raise this by completing missions in the same way you'd upgrade your Fear rank from the last episode. Going through the Duality rank rewards, you'll get all the new gear this episode, and other goodies like banners and a weapon doll. Lex has a new buff for the squad as well in this update. On each mastery mission in episode 2, there's now a special weakness Lex has found, such as burning causing more damage to enemies, and more. Brainiac has also made some changes this episode as well, with new Brainiac iterations. Starting with Poison Enraged, enemies that are poisoned now do 50% more damage. Peak Performance, grunts at full health deal 30% more damage. Bomb Squad, grunts take 50% less damage from grenades. Half Full, brutes below 50% health take 50% less damage. However, due to these changes, Brainiac's created some unintended side effects. Slow Burn, burning affects grunts for 1.2% longer. Half Empty, brutes above 50% health take 50% more damage. There's also some new ELSEWORLD's mutators, including Expedited Exit. Enemies now take 300% more damage from damage over time effects when they are at 30% health or lower. Maximum Sentence, for 10 seconds after an enemy gets punished, critical hits on that enemy regenerate 5% Suicide Strike and Traversal Attack resources. This cannot happen again until the enemy has stopped being punished. Punished is a new effect that we will get into in a few minutes. Lava Bath, enemies explode when they die and leave behind a puddle that lasts for 15 seconds. Each second you stand in the puddle regenerates 20% shield. Your damage is increased by 0% while standing in this puddle. I'm assuming that this means that all damage buffs get removed while you are in the puddle. Desperation. You deal 75% more damage for each 10% missing shield. Extra Fries. Each critical hit on a burning enemy gives you 1 combo. Hot-Footed. Every second you're standing still, you deal 50% more damage. This can stack 100 times. Each 1 second spent moving removes 5 stacks. All of these mutators will make for some huge changes to builds for this episode. Now, I mentioned before the new Punish status effect. This effect not only increases critical hit damage on enemies, but also increases crit chance on burning enemies. Next, let's talk some mission changes that they've added with this update. They've decreased the cost required to start Mayhem missions from 3,000 to 1,500, and normal incursions from 1,000 to 500, and killing time missions from 500 to 250. They've also changed mastery level progression, making it much faster. How mastery works in game previously is the game would look at your 3 highest mastery levels completed, average them out, and then add 2 to your total allowed levels you can play. Now, it'll add 5 instead, and this updates each 3 missions that you complete at the highest possible mastery. They've also increased the base number of gear earned for completing missions in Metropolis in episodes, from 2 previously to 3 now. This excludes Smash and Grab, which is still going to be 2. They also added the option to break down rewarded items from the mission completion screen. Speaking of gear, there have been a lot of gear changes in this update. First off, power levels of Infamy set tiers have been equalized. What does this mean? Well, previously, each tier was meant to be just more powerful than the last, with tier 3 being the most powerful. Now, all 3 tiers are meant to be the same power level, essentially buffing the first 2 tiers. And instead, each tier is just meant to be more complex in its abilities than the last. They've also added 4 new grades of master items. Master levels go 1 through 5 for Notorious and Infamy gear, which you'll be able to get as you progress through higher mission mastery levels. The base weapons you've had till now are essentially Mastery 1, with there now being 4 more. They've also added new corrupted versions of items. Currently there are 4 that are available exclusively from the new Mayhem mission at Mastery Level 1 and above. They also have added crafting recipes for legendary items from Episode 1 Fear and Episode 0 Finite Crisis. You can unlock these crafting recipes through episode ranks and new invasion levels. As for what the new gear is in this update, first up, let's talk about the Notorious gear. Starting us off are the Black Manta's focus weapons. There is a pistol, assault rifle, and sniper for this. With it, each time you afflict an enemy, you gain a stack of Unending Focus, which increases your critical hit and critical counter damage with this firearm by 30% per stack. Unending Focus stacks up to 10 times and lasts for 60 seconds. The actual shots you shoot with the weapon also look exactly like Black Manta's lasers, which I think is a pretty fun detail. Is Firefly's Firestorm. This grenade burns any enemy hit by it and increases the explosive radius of your next grenade by 50% for each enemy you burn. This grenade also acts like a timed sticky bomb. sticking to any enemies and taking a few seconds before blowing up. Next is Heat Waves Overheater, a new neck bomb mod. With it, each burning enemy you kill gives you a stack of overheating. This stacks up to 20, and you lose 1 stack every 5 seconds. When you reach 20 stacks, all firearm hits, grenade hits, and melee hits will burn enemies. This lasts for 30 seconds and will reset your overheating stacks. Next is Hugo Strange's Group Therapy. With this shield mod, all hits on enemies while your shield is overcharged now punish them. You also generate 1% shield per second for each enemy within 15 meters of you. Next is Professor Ivo's Traversal Matrix, which is a traversal mod. With it, each second spent traversing builds up 10% Diablo Blaze resource, and traversal attacks now burn enemies. Next, and I know this one is a huge deal for a lot of you, is the Reversed Flash Melee Weapon, Lightning Strike. Hitting an electrified enemy with a melee attack when having this equipped causes it to burn and deal 15% of its maximum health as damage to all enemies within 10 meters. Next is Two-Face's Argumentum, which is available as an SMG, assault rifle, and shotgun. This weapon's regular fire deals 50% more damage to enemies above 50% health. And killing an enemy with this weapon increases damage of your next melee attack by 100% for 30 seconds. This can stack up to 5 times. It also has an alt fire. With it, you shoot Argumentum bullets that deal 500% more damage and punishes the enemy hit. If the enemy dies from the hit, it punishes enemies within 20 meters of it. Critical hits will also regenerate 10% of the Argumentum bullets. Last for the Notorious items is Two-Face's Coin. With it, melee attacks, shield harvesting, and suicide strikes now punish enemies. If the enemy dies from the attack, it punishes enemies within 15 meters. You can also get synergies with the Two-Face Infamy gear. As you know in this game, Notorious weapons and Infamous weapons can combine and give you synergies. The synergies available with the new Two-Face Infamy gear sets, Firefly's synergy is called Pyromania. When a burning enemy dies within 20 meters of you, you instantly regain 10% shield and 5% health. Each time this happens, there's a 20% chance that you get Pyromania. This effect lasts for 30 seconds and increases your damage against burning enemies by 200% as long as your shield is full. Activating this will also unlock the Firebug pin for your weapon. Reverse Flash also has a synergy with Two-Face called Seeing Red. Each time you deal damage or take damage, there's a 10% chance you suffer a mental break. This effect increases all damage you deal by 400%, but also increases the damage you take by 100%. Mental break lasts for 60 seconds or until you do a suicide strike to snap you out of it. If you activate this, you also get the Face of Speed pin for your weapons. Heatwave synergy with Two-Face is called Raging Inferno. Each enemy you burn gives you a 5% chance to trigger Raging Inferno. For 30 seconds, you constantly burn all enemies within 30 meters of you. Once Raging Inferno ends, you must wait 60 seconds before you can re-trigger it. Activating this will give you the Hot-Headed pin. Now, something I find really funny is the fact that you can actually have a villain synergy between Two-Face and Two-Face. Who would have thought? With this, you're basically getting both personalities, one from the Notorious gear and one from the Infamous. This synergy is called Two Sides of the Same Coin. Each time you reload, you flip a coin. If it's heads, you gain 150% increased damage to burning enemy. If it's tails, all firearm and melee hits punish enemies. These effects replace each other when they activate and last for 30 seconds. Activating this will give you the Dented pin. Next is the Infamous gear. Each tier of Infamous gear includes 7 pieces. Starting with the first tier, it includes a neck bomb, lucky charm, grenade, shield mod, assault rifle, heavy weapon, and shotgun. The lucky charm, neck bomb, and grenade do not have any special abilities, so we will be skipping over them. With the shield mod, each burning enemy within 20 meters of you gives you 10% damage reduction up to a maximum of 50%. This ability is the same for all tiers of the Two-Face shield mod. Next, all of the guns have the same ability. Successful critical reloads trigger Judgment for the next 10 seconds. While Judgment is active, critical hits with this firearm punish enemies. You have 1 or more pieces of Tier 1 equipped. Each hit you take has a 50% chance of punishing the enemy that hit you. If you have 2 or more pieces, every 10 seconds, heads or tails alternate as active effects. While Heads is active, you deal 1250% more damage to burning enemies. While Tails is active, melee hits have a 100% chance of burning enemies. If you have 3 or more pieces, killing burning enemies has a 50% chance of causing a fiery explosion that burns enemies within 25 meters. While in episode 2, you also get a bonus for each level. At 1 piece or more, each time you punish an enemy, you regenerate 50% shield. With 2 or more, critical hits on burning enemies deal an additional 250% more damage, and you take 50% less damage from enemies that are burning. With 3 pieces or more, it increases critical hit chance by 100% on enemies that are both punished and burning. Next is the Tier 2 bonuses. With 1 or more pieces of Tier 2 active, after an enemy you burn has been burning for 5 seconds, they take 10% of their max health as damage. This cannot happen again until the enemy stops burning. With 2 or more pieces, suicide strikes on a punished enemy now deal 1500% increased damage. If the enemy dies, trial by fire triggers, which increases the damage you deal to burning enemies for 500% for 60 seconds. 3 or more pieces, trial by fire also causes critical hits to generate 5% suicide strike resources. While in episode 2, you'll also get a bonus at each level. With 1 or more pieces, each time you punish an enemy, it has a 50% chance to burn. With 2 or more pieces, suicide strike kills now punish all enemies within 20 meters. With 3 or more pieces, it increases all damage dealt by 250% while your suicide strike resource is at max. Next is the Tier 3 gear. With 1 or more pieces of Tier 3, burning enemies will have their damage reduced by 25%. With 2 or more pieces, after burning an enemy you add a stack of chaos. This lasts for 60 seconds and can stack up to 20 times. Each stack increases the damage you deal by 15% and the damage you take by 5%. With 3 or more pieces, suicide strikes consume all stacks of chaos and triggers order, which lasts for 120 seconds, and increases the damage you deal against burning enemies by 50% for each stack of chaos that was consumed up to a maximum of 1000%. You also get a bonus at each level. With 1 or more pieces, burning enemies have their damage reduced by an additional 25% up to a total maximum of 50%. With 2 or more pieces, each stack of chaos also increases critical hit damage by 10%. With 3 or more pieces, it further increases the stack bonus on order by an extra 50%, increasing the limit to 2000%. Now, there are some new abilities available on legendary gear, but that was a lot of gear talk. So if you want to see that, just go turn on the game and try and get some legendary gear. Next up is map changes. The Joker Elseworld has now been expanded by about double, including an area featuring the Daily Chuckle. And there's more Joker stuff added to our metropolis. They've also added a new mission type called Out of Orbit. Brainiac has started phasing in corrupted Justice League Watchtowers to search for another Earth to invade. In these missions, you'll need Hack to maintain control of communication towers across 2 separate dimensions to expose the satellites. Enemies in another dimension cannot be harmed, but will still disrupt your ability to destroy the corrupted Watchtower. That means your squad will be switching between dimensions to take out Brainiac's forces. You'll need Hack to maintain control of communication towers across 2 separate dimensions to expose the satellites, and ultimately destroy the corrupted Watchtower. The Watchtower itself has its own defenses to contend with as well, which you will have to avoid. You'll notice that there actually wasn't footage of this in the video that you're watching right now. That is because either I just wasn't lucky enough for it to appear on the map, or it wasn't available yet at the time of the making of the build. There's also a new Brainiac boss in episode 2. In this, you'll fight a Brainiac with Superman's powers. This fight is actually a lot of fun. During it, he has solar crystals that charge him up and you have to destroy them and a whole bunch of other stuff. If you want to see all of this fight, I'll have a video up in a little bit, or may already be up on the channel. Anyways, that is absolutely every single thing that was added with this update. If you did enjoy this video, leave a like, subscribe. We will be doing videos on all of the Riddler stuff and more, so keep an eye out for that, and I will see you guys all next time.